Hi, welcome to my studio from Los Angeles, California. My name is Cintia Segovia and I'm originally from Mexico City, but I moved here to the United States about 10 years ago. My artwork is a lot about mashing up politics and entertainment industry. I like to put humor and wit in my work to talk about issues that sometimes we feel that we shouldn't be talking about in a work setting or with acquaintances that we don't know very well. So the topics that I touch upon are racism, stereotypes, politics, identity, and language. And it's very important for me to talk about these topics in a way that feels non-threatening. That way I can initiate a conversation with other people about it. One of the works that I would like to talk to you about is the Chile Mole y Dulce. This is a big mural-sized photo installation and is comprised of multiple portraits, like mugshot style, of college students. And in this work, I wanted to talk about the notion of types by using the stereotype of how a Mexican should look like or what people think that they look like. This project came about when I was meeting very often people that would tell me that I don't look Mexican and I don't sound Mexican and I don't look or sound like any other Mexican that they have met before. So this was very hurtful for me, and it was really digging into what my identity was. And what I did is I took my photo studio on wheels and I would set up camp in the courtyards in multiple college campuses in Los Angeles. And there I would ask students that were just passing by to pose for me on this way with a sombrero and a mustache. And I would explain to them why I was doing it, and I would ask them if they had also felt any discrimination in any way in their life, and it turns out that I was not alone. On the other hand, for video installation, I have a piece called Gato Encerrado. This is a 6-channel video synchronized, and this shows the contradictions and struggles of one person. So by using multiple characters, one is an immigration officer that would tell you what to watch for so you don't get any microaggressions. Another one would be talking in a dialogue, on old sayings in Spanish and English. And another one would be an infomercial for a fruit cocktail, which is something that I really like, and for a few years I couldn't find in Los Angeles, so it was really important for me to make work in homage to one of my favorite fruits, but one of my favorite foods, the cocktail de frutas. At first, I was thrown off by the pandemic, and I teach photography, and it was really hard to teach photography using remote learning at the beginning. But little by little, I got used to it, and I really think that the pandemic has also gave way to opportunities to meet people in different locations, geographic locations, because you can always meet with them remotely. On the other hand, my work has changed because I moved all my studio practice at home, so I often develop film in the kitchen sink, and I take photos within my vicinity in my around my house. The protest and the Black Lives Matter movement has really been inspiring for me in the making more visible the things that I talked about in my work, and issues on discrimination and having a more diverse workplace. I think that the change is becoming real, and I hope that more companies and institutions do diverse hiring. And the next key will be to that these institutions can hold the people that they hire, and that will be the next step, I think. Voting for me is a privilege. It's something that no one gave to me, is not for granted. I was not born in the United States. For me, it was something that I fought for. It was a very long process for me to be a citizen of this country. I had to fill out a lot of paperwork and go through a lot of hoops and hurdles to get here. I swore to be a participant in the democracy. And this is something that I don't take lightly. One way that I have to express this commitment is to vote in every election, and another way is to call my representatives to either thank them when they support a legislation that I also agree with, or sometimes I call them to ask them to support a proposal that is on discussion. After I became a citizen in January of 2017, I made an interactive performance that was taking on many aspects of what I had just gone through in the citizenship process. In this performance, I set up the space as an immigration office, and I asked people to sit in front of me and take a series of quizzes and tests and questionnaires that are very similar to the citizenship process. Some questions that I was asked is if I have trafficked children, if I have trafficked weapons to the United States, if I was a member of the Communist Party, and if I was here to overthrow the government of this country. These are questions that I've been asked multiple times. Another aspect of this performance is when I ask participants to answer questions on American history. These are a series of flashcards that are 100 questions that any applicant for citizenship has to memorize the answers to, and most people fail the exam. But if they pass, then I go through the next phase, which is my favorite, because I get to do a didactic accent reduction class with them. And this accent reduction class is about correcting their accent so it sounds like mine, the way that I sound in English. For example, I use words that are difficult for Spanish speakers to pronounce, such as the difference between J and Y, like in yellow and yellow. Another example would be the H sound that in Spanish we don't have. For example, in graham, like graham crackers, but you know what I mean, right? And the other one would be strawberry. So sounding like strawberry versus strawberry. Most people don't know the process to apply for citizenship, so after they go through this performance, they get a better idea on how difficult it is to apply for it, and the multiple requirements that it has, and also how much knowledge of American history they should have. That's why it is so important for me that in this moment that is ramping up for the election in November, we are all together in registering for voting and understanding that this is not only our right to vote, but it's also a privilege to vote, because there is many thousands of immigrants that don't get to have a voice in the electoral process, and we do. So if we really need to think about what are the plans that we support in the political process. We don't need to agree with everything that a candidate proposes. We are just voting for a plan that candidate is going to support. And that's why it's so important for me that I got a chance to talk to you today and get you in my studio and talk to you about what I do and my involvement in with Artists for Democracy. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you soon.